hope everyone is okay with that. If you have any issue with that, you can definitely send me a private message. It is wonderful to see your faces. If you can leave your videos on so I can see you smiling. It's super hard to do a presentation without getting the feedback already when you're doing it frontal, and here it's even harder. So if you can, that's okay. But if you just wanna, you know, cook while you're doing that or doing your laundry, that's also fine. And if you have questions during the presentation, feel free to use the chat box. I will try to use it regularly and to really read what you have, but also you can raise your hand or you can unmute yourself. So currently we have everyone muted, but you definitely can unmute yourself. I'm gonna add a few more participants who are waiting in our waiting room. Hello, Abby, welcome. And mute all. So now we can start. Okay, the future of fashion, what would that be? Meet all. Come on, people, get inside. Okay, so how is that going to look like? So first of all, in case from some reason you don't know who I am and you happen to join this conversation because you had a lot of free time. So my name is Liraz, but you can all call me Liri. I feel like we're among friends. And 4 years ago, I opened a company called Fashionating by Liri, that the mission of the company is truly to tell the story of Israel from a new perspective, one that usually people don't hear about, the perspective of fashion, and by that to promote and empower Israeli fashion brands and companies, and obviously designers. The way we operate as a company is both in North America and in Israel. In North America, we offer lectures, runway shows, and workshops all around Israeli fashion. And in Israel, we are operating more as an educational tour company where we do fashion and art trips and tours. So that's kind of different things that we're doing. We're still offering right now at the moment, we're still offering all of our lectures online. And yeah, these are different ways to follow us. Feel free to follow us if you're not via each channel and platform that you personally like. Now, finally, let's start. Let's start with a quote. So Lee Edelcourt is a famous trend forecaster. And really the reason that I wanted to start with that is that we cannot think about the future without the framing of the past and the framing of what happened so far. And it really seems that in every factor in our life, the way we think of things in our family, in our career, in different industries is based on what we had before and kind of what the virus did and COVID-19 did and pushed us to see the ugliness of stuff sometimes and how we can now make it better by slow down, by really changing our ways and making things different. So I'm gonna give a short explanation of what happened in the past and what's going on today, and then we're gonna jump right to the future and how the future will look like. So what's going on, what happened so far? And when I'm talking about the past, I don't want to talk about, you know, hundreds of years ago. I'm talking really about anything that started from the 80s until today. And the major thing that happened with fashion was the beginning of fast fashion. It started around 1985 with Zara. Fast fashion, the whole idea that instead of having the traditional 2 seasons collections that are in shops, we started seeing 52 mini collections. That means that once a week, sometimes even twice a week, we had items coming to the stores. And because of that, we as consumers, we wanted more. We wanted to be on trend. We wanted to get all of these things, but obviously we cannot always afford ourselves to buy more and more. So what the companies did, were starting making this, their entire supply chain move to another place. So the entire production moved to countries such as the countries in Southeast Asia to make it cheaper. And that's why we started seeing items that will cost us $9.99. There were obviously a lot of impact on the environment and on the people who are working in the textile and fashion industry globally that the fast fashion caused. So if we're talking about the environment, I don't know if you know that crazy fact, but fashion industry is the second most polluting industry in the world, which is crazy. I am recommending you to see the movie The True Cost on Netflix that really talks about all of the effects of fashion, and it's a sad movie, but really we as consumers, we started to consume much more. So just as an example, American shoppers buy 5 times more than they used to do in 1980. And then we're not using our clothes that much. On average, we will use every piece that we will buy only 7 times. So we're not using it. There's social media. We cannot afford ourselves to be with the same outfit time and time again on Instagram stories. And that caused a lot of waste of clothes. The fashion industry is creating too much clothes, things that we don't need. And yearly, we're talking about 2.5 million tons that are getting thrown away. And I'm not even talking about the way that you reproduce our items. So just as an example, to create, to design, to make a pair of jeans, it will take us 10 liters of water. So think about it when you wear your next jeans. But also when we're talking about the people who are part of this industry, we're talking about 80 million people who are part of the textile industry. This is an insane number, and 85% of them are women. So as I said before, the main people who are working are in countries like China and Bangladesh and Vietnam and India. These people not necessarily getting what they should get for their work. They're not necessarily in great conditions. They're not hired in great conditions. And it's been like that for a long time. And we as consumers, and I'm saying we because I worked in Zara before, and I still buy in the Zaras and the H&Ms and all of the fast fashion companies. I cannot say I don't. But what we did is we didn't necessarily knew the effects of fast fashion on other people's life until one event happened that started putting more focus on it. And that was the Rana Plaza disaster. So that was the deadliest garment factory accident in the history. Basically, what happened was that there was a building in Bangladesh, in Dhaka, and in this building, it was full packed with employees in the textile industry for brands like Mango and Primark and Bon Marché. And all of these employees were starting to say that they see cracks in the building and they're afraid to continue working there because they think it might fall. Obviously, their bosses said, no, like we have to deliver, we have to continue with our orders, and you have to work. And if you're not coming to work, you will get fired. And because of these people, for them, it's super important to continue working because otherwise they will starve to death, basically. So they had to come to work. So give that a thought, because in the ground level of the building, there were banks and other stores that were not textile fashion related. They got evacuated long time before the people there. And the building collapsed and it killed over 1,000 people, mainly women, and 2,500 people got injured. And that was, in a way, the wake-up call of the world, because all of a sudden the media started talking about who are the people who are making our clothes? Who are they? How do they work? What do they get for that? And questions started to arise. So that's in 2013. And until today, what we see is that people talking about sustainability, people talking about human rights when it comes to the textile industry and what we should do. And we're more aware of that, mainly Generation Z. In Israel, the same thing happened. This is globally, obviously. So around the 80s, the government actually started to shift the support from textile industry more to technology. Israel is now known as the startup nation. There's a reason for that. But also, obviously, all of these companies started to come to Israel. So what we saw is a huge decrease in the amount of jobs in textile industry in Israel. In fact, 82% decrease between 1990 to 2007. And what we're starting to see also is we're more importing clothes and footwear, and we're less importing fabrics and threads. That means that there are less designers, local designers who are producing and manufacturing in Israel. So this is something that's going on globally, and that's the past. The past doesn't look that good. What's going on now in the present time? So in a way, the COVID-19 has a lot of really bad results to it, obviously with lives, but also for many other things, mentally and physically for many people. And the fashion industry was also hurt by that. So I want to do a quick poll with you to see kind of where you are in fashion today. So I'm gonna stop sharing for 1 sec and let's try it. So you will get a poll and all you need to do is answer the questions. It's totally anonymous. So I won't see who's answering what, but just feel free to answer the questions and then we'll start to see what's happening here. Okay, half of you already answered. Okay. Okay, so 70% of you voted already. I hope you see the results. Can you see the results on your computers or no? No? Okay. I will let you know what are the results. So the first question was, did you buy any fashion related products during COVID-19? Most of you did not. 63% of you did not buy any fashion related products. Very interesting. If you bought, did you buy them from a local designer or a small business? 63% of you saying no. Were they COVID-19 related? So for example, face mask or nice pajamas to wear while you're at home. So again, 63% of you were saying no. Did you buy any home goods? The answer is more towards the yes. So 63% of you said yes. Same goes to beauty is half and half. So almost 50% for yes and 50% for no. And did you buy gardening tools? Not a lot of you bought gardening tools. Maybe you don't have a garden, but that's our result. We will talk about them later, but that's good to know. And let's see how that syncs with everything that we will talk now about the present time. Okay, so first of all, present time, we'll start with the bad news and then we'll move to the good news. Obviously, sales drops. We're talking about 40% decline between the beginning of January till March. And according to McKinsey analysis, we're talking about 80% of the companies, both in Europe and in North America, that will be in financial distress. We already seen that with Neiman Marcus and with J. Crew just now in the news. Really many companies could file for bankruptcy. And we're talking about billions of dollars that are lost. BCG is talking about 85 to 120 billions in 2020. So a real huge decline. The ugly part of the fashion industry, if you already talked about the past and not taking a real look and who are the people who are making our clothes, we see that even now with many of the fashion retailers that cancel their orders, mainly in Bangladesh, in estimation of about it was 1.5 billion. Now we're talking about much more than that. Basically, they cancel it. These workers have nothing to eat. They were counting on all of these orders, and while they're canceling it, that means that these people might even starve. So there was a big campaign, #PayUp, that basically demands fashion brands to pay for what they ordered. Simple as that. And I think one quote that really made me think about the whole thing and how different brands are coping in this kind of situation is this one. In the post-pandemic world, companies will be judged by how humanly they handle this crisis. This will include not only how they treated their direct employees, but also whether they took appropriate steps to mitigate the impact on the most vulnerable workers in their value chain. And really, this is not only about if you're still taking care of your salespeople, if you're still taking care of everyone in the office, but really, are you going all the way down in the value chain to make sure that even your employees in Bangladesh are getting whatever they need to? So when we're talking about that, the brands today need to show more humanity, need to think about the future, even if it costs them a lot of money now. So now let's move to a little bit more of good news. So many luxury brands really stepped in to fight the virus and really did amazing stuff. So LVMH, for example, manufactured over 50 tons of sanitizing gel. They basically transformed their perfume production sites to create the sanitizing gel. And other companies like Gucci and Prada were doing same kind of initiatives, just with the mask, the face mask. So they were either donating to buy the face mask or actually making them. So we see that, okay, this is not something that we're not gonna earn anything. And by the way, the masks are not with the label of Gucci or Prada or anything like that. It's just the basic type of mask. But really, this is to do something good for the community that you're part of. If you're in Italy, this is to do something good for the community in Italy or in Paris or wherever you are. In Israel, the same thing happened also in locally more. So on the left, there is a designer called Kobi Golan that I absolutely love his designs. So, okay, he doesn't have a lot of, resources to do it, but he has his own skills of sewing skills. So he volunteered to create masks for the elderly with other designers and artists that did the same thing. And they created the mask and they deliver it to elderly people around Israel. So super nice to see that to show some kind of humanity even in that way, even from a small designer with a one company person. Now today, what we see also when we're talking about that is fashion bloggers. So what's interesting to see is that when COVID-19 started, actually there was like no one talked. Fashion bloggers were kind of numb and they freezed, because it's nice to have great stories from the fashion week in Paris and in Milan and beautiful unboxing of all of these beautiful gifts that fashion bloggers are getting. But at that time, first of all, brands freezed. So they, for a while, didn't know what their strategy should be. But also that kind of stopped, and now all of the brands understand that digital marketing and working with the bloggers, it's the most essential thing for them. But what I believe is that today, more than ever, fashion bloggers have the opportunity to jump from being just a virtual billboard for whatever product to actually become an influencer, to actually convey some kind of a message. Yes, you're at home. Yes, it's kind of boring, but do you have something to say besides just telling us how amazing different products are? And one person who's really stood up is Chiara Ferrani. She's one of the most successful fashion bloggers around the globe with millions of followers. She's now in Milan. And at the beginning, she was writing about messages about stay at home. Really, the situation here in Italy is super hard, and it is very important for people to just stay at home. And she love her. Yes, I love her too. And I love her much more now after everything that happened, because really she stood up. And not only that, you can see on the bottom picture on the right that she's calling names for, she's calling other famous figures to do the same. So here she's telling Kendall Jenner, please tell people to stay home. Kylie, all of this Kardashian family, you have to do something else. And not only that she put this type of messages, but actually she and her husband started a Kickstarter campaign, and they raised over $4 million to build an hospital in Italy for coronavirus patients. So that's amazing. And this is a true influencer. And this is, I believe, something that especially the young generation, Generation Z, care about: the authenticity, the fact that you have values behind you. I don't know if you're following the Kardashian family right now, but it's super boring. I mean, I feel like it's just, they live in their own bubble. Okay, I'm by my pool. It's so amazing. Life is hard because I'm by my pool. Come on, you have a pool. Most of us are in quarantine in our small apartments. And then buy this product of ours, buy that product of ours. Really, it's just, it's not good. Yeah, they were always in a bubble. That's true, Dana. But now more than ever, I feel like they're not in reality. They're not even on our planet anymore. So I really think that this is a chance for bloggers to be true influencers. And then new categories. The reason that I asked you about what you bought in the recent weeks or month and so is because what brands started to see is that obviously there was much more shopping online than offline, because offline is non-existent, but also categories that were not that popular in the past became more popular now. So if before in companies like Nordstrom, this is images from the website, we saw on the front of their website, we saw luxury brands, we saw high heels and nice dresses. They understand that people don't need this stuff right now. What they need is more home wellness products that will make our house be more homey and nice to be in, and candles and different other elements. Pajamas, the whole idea of wearing nice pajamas at home to feel still like a human being, even if you're stuck at home. This category started to rise, and the whole idea of blankets. Now, why blankets? Why this idea? So keep in mind that we don't have the human touch anymore. We're not hugged by anyone, or maybe with only few people. So the blanket, it's kind of something that hugs us. It makes us, it's soft, it's cozy, and it makes us feel loved in a way. So these are new categories that we see. Same thing, by the way, goes, this is Nordstrom, but also, for example, Adore Me, which is an underwear company based in New York. In their front, in the front of their website, usually it was sexy lingerie, you know, like this type of things that you buy for a special occasion. Now, no, it's a bra that you can walk with at home. It's nice pajamas. These are the things that we want right now. And these are the things that we will see later on. I want to end the part of the present time with a little bit of hope. So the fashion industry is not blind to everything that's going on around the world, obviously, and they're not in bubble, mainly the ladies in the fashion industry. So Vogue's cover for March, Vogue Italy for March was completely blank, completely white. And they were saying that while people are dying and doctor and nurses are working, they cannot ignore that. That's not part of their DNA. share a link to this PowerPoint. Very useful. Okay, it will be recorded and I will share it. Thank you, everybody. Okay, so, and the idea of what is the cover of Vogue Italy during everything that's going on in Italy, think about it. What can they do? What kind of an image they can put? There are so many images that are strong, that are powerful. And the editor of Vogue Italy was saying, it's not the lack of images. We have a lot of images that we could use, but white stands for so many different things. It's respect, it's rebirth, it's the color of the uniform of our doctors, it's our sleepless nights. It's really about hope. It's not about surrender. It's about a new beginning, opening a new story. And I think the entire fashion industry understands that the things, the way they were until now, cannot continue the same because the world is not the same and they need to change. And actually, many of them were already talking about many parts of the fashion industry that are not as glamorous and beautiful as you might think. And now it's really an opportunity for the fashion industry to rebirth and to build itself from the beginning. Yes, Jonathan, it's a good point. It's a good point about the color white. I think what he means it's more blanco, but you are right. In different countries, it can be heard and considered differently. Let's talk about the future. What is the future of fashion? What do you guys think? You can unmute yourself.
Less consumerism.
What did you say, Tommy?
Less consumerism. I think that people buy a lot less.
What else? Less brands.
I think that this like new generation of people is going to be way more aware of the impact that the fashion industry has of this world. Being a part of Generation Z, I know how like aware people are today, and I think it really relates to the influencer part as well, because I think people are connected and are just bombarded with so much information. It's almost impossible to hide fuck-ups like the plaza thing that you talked about, right, like that. Yeah, so I definitely think less bullshit.
Less bullshit. Local fashion, yes, but there is no world without Zara. Yes, okay. Well, Zara will need to change for sure in some way.
I think that manufacturing will come home. Like, you know, for instance, Israel's shoe industry, which once upon a time was thriving, you know, like it now is almost defunct, you know, like that it'll make not a comeback, but there'll be something more, you know, like and the same thing with the fashion.
Yes, I agree.
I think it's going to be community centered. I think that as I see in my community, that people want to help one another. So if you're a part of a specific community where there is a designer or a stylist and you want to help them raise themselves, you will start to shop from them first and then from other brands, even local brands, but you want to start with your own community.
Yes, absolutely. And Dana here, managing the community of Mama Manhattan, all the mamas in the city, but also outside New Jersey included, right, Dana?
Yes, it's Mama Manhattan. It's actually all the Israeli mommies in New York and New Jersey. Not all of them, but yeah,
yes,
very powerful.
All the Israeli ones. Aren't we all? We sound like we're all.
Totally.
Okay, so let's see what's the future holds for us. So this is just a short print screen of what Business of Fashion magazine with McKinsey did every year they have their report for what will be the next trends for fashion. And that's the one they did for 2020 prior to COVID-19. But what you will see here is that if you really take a look, and mainly in consumer shifts, the whole idea of next gen social, so the whole idea of social media and how to use the platforms well. In the neighborhood, we talked about community, we've talked about the idea of buying local and getting our brands close to us instead of us driving so far. This is still something that we will see. Sustainability first, for sure. Now that we see the outcomes, even of just us being at home and what is that doing to pollution, what it does do to Earth, definitely people are more aware. So the whole idea is that the future, it's not that different than what people thought of even before COVID-19, but it just gives us a little bit kick in the ass to do it, right? To start doing that, and much more extreme. So that means that all of the things that brands thought that they will have, 3 more years to get there, 5 more years, 10 more years together, they need to do it fast in order to survive. Otherwise, they're not going to stay here. So if I'm talking about sustainability, this is a big one. So probably you saw this map or a similar map that talks about how the air in China cleaned up because of no traffic, no airplanes, no factories, no all of these type of things. So people started asking themselves, do we actually need all of this? And because we're asking ourselves, and because we're sitting at home and we're not buying that much, we consume less, and we understand that this is a possibility for us. So there is a huge call for more sustainability. And one thing that I love is this quote about nature, and the whole idea of nature is that waste does not exist in nature. In true nature, there's no such thing as waste. Everything has a purpose. Everything is part of a bigger system. So it doesn't make sense to design things that as waste. So if you're doing something and there's a waste in it, then it's a design flaw. And I think that's something that companies will need to think of when they're designing their new clothes, and when they're thinking about their business model, when they're thinking about their supply chain. So definitely, like Tami, I believe, said, buy local, support small businesses. That will be something big brands will be afraid to shift again all of their factories and all of their manufacturing to places that they don't have any control of what's happening there, not politically, not because of viruses, not with anything. So they will try to make more things locally and to produce more locally. And we will see also us as consumers who care about specific designers, and we don't want them to fall, right? So we will try to help small businesses. The big brands will survive, but the small ones, these are the ones that, small and medium ones, these are the ones that actually need our support right now. What would be the future of design? What would that look? Because that obviously will affect the way we dress. And Marc Jacobs said that it's very hard to create when you're kind of like in a vacuum or in a bubble. So I truly believe that once regulations will allow everyone to start going out and be out, we will see designers, they're still very creative, right? But we will see designers just exploding with creativity and with crazy ideas for the new fashion and what that would look like. So a few things that we should consider for the future. So first of all, if we talked about clothes that are either efficient or comfortable and soft because of the idea of being hugged, so designers will focus on knitwear, they will focus on athleisure. That was already a big category, but definitely now more. No more seasonal collections. So we're kind of shifting 180 from the 52 mini collections to no seasons, and just iconic items, products that have great quality, that we know that they will be here forever. No matter what crisis will happen in the world, we will still have the same item. Like I love to consider as like the trench coat. This is something that it's timeless, right? And no matter what, you know that it will warm me up, it's nice, it's good. So brands will try to create, if they don't have it yet, they will try to create themselves some kind of iconic products that can be without any connection to a specific season, and that people will love and get connected with. An Israeli brand that I love, that they're doing it without even maybe knowing that that's what they're doing, is Ata. Ata was one of the first textile companies in Israel, and what they have really is they have the legacy of being the brand of the working class in Israel at the time. Now they're more for the hipsters, but really their clothes are super comfortable, they're casual, and the quality is great. So they have very much iconic items that they keep on having every collection, like the khaki pants, for example. The colors of the blue color is something super distinguished for them. It's like the Tiffany's blue. Ata has their own type of blue. So really they are a company that it's based on the icon of it, the iconic items of it. Face masks, also when we're talking about design, that will be the biggest accessory, right, of our time starting from now. We all will probably need to wear a face mask going out, and we would like it to be in style. And the idea is that if we could somehow team up, designers can team up with scientists, with doctors, to not only create ridiculous or beautiful masks, but also ones that will be efficient, that will be antivirus, antibacterial, whatever, with smart fabrics. That will be a jump in what we see in both creativity and with collaborations. Now, keep in mind, most brands, most big brands didn't start yet with creating their own mask because they're afraid of backlash. They're still afraid that they will be accused using this situation to get more sales. So they're not still doing that. There are a few brands, Gap was just doing it recently. And in Israel, just as an example, Northern Star by Nadav created a mask that is matched to his collection. And Maskit, the first fashion house in Israel, also did that. And they call it Mask It. I know other bridal couture designers who created already face masks for the bride and the groom, so super cool stuff. But still, we're talking about more with the small brands and not with the big names, not with the big luxury brands yet, because they're afraid of the backlash, but you will see it coming soon. The mass movement does. Yes, lipstick sales. Everyone are afraid of the lipstick sales and beauty in general and what that will look like, for sure. So another thing about designers and the way they will work, and brands and the way that they will work, is collaborations. So we talked about collaborations when we're talking about designers with scientists and doctors, but also brands will need to collaborate, will need to share data and see themselves, as Dana said, see themselves more as a community of people who share the same values of loving fashion and inspiration and creativity. And they need to survive in the new normal, in the new world. And in order to do that, they will need to collaborate. Another trend that we will see in the future, we're starting to see it right now, is the old DIY, do it yourself. This is a great fashion trend, starting mainly with Generation Z, with the young generation, but it comes all the way. I'm sure you're at home thinking you're bored, you have nothing to do. I was like that as well. I'm still like that. And I give myself different mini art projects and creative projects of do it yourself. And people are trying to find new hobbies for themselves. So really different brands like McQueen and Dior started with challenges on Instagram of creating new stuff, and that in that way to move their followers. And then what we're starting to see is also that different brands like Dickies is giving away or selling their dead stock fabrics to their customers, so they can recreate whatever they want with that. So a very cool platform that I recommend you all to look at because it's crazy and cool is Depop. It's a peer-to-peer social shopping app. Basically, it's huge for the young people here and the young in spirit people here. With 50 million people registered and most of them under 25. Basically, it's kind of a social platform. Think about it as a social platform that you can have your entire mini collection of things you upcycled and you created yourself. And it's a marketplace. Then people can buy it. People can follow you, they can buy from you. And there was a huge increase in both listing of new products there, new items there, and with sales for March when we're talking about it year over year. So this popular platform will become even more popular in the future. Okay, moving on. The future of brick and mortar. So show them the way, yes. So the future of brick and mortar and e-commerce. So obviously all the brands now understand that stores probably won't look the same and won't have the same function as they did in the past. And also with e-commerce, they need to do things slightly different. So stores will be more of a gathering place. It should be a place that gives you the idea of a safe place, a friendly place. That means that they will need to take your temperature, for example, so you will feel secure that everyone else there is safe, and more space in between, and maybe a faster way of the transactions and the communication would be faster, so they will eliminate few of the regular things that we used to see in stores. And in general, stores will be more of showrooms than actual stores, and the way that you will look at the performance of the stores, it won't necessarily be based on sales the way that it is today, but it would be more about building the community and the relationship with the customers. So in a way, the salespeople in the store will be more of the storytellers. They will tell the story of the brands, the story and the values behind the brands. And the whole idea would be to the idea of the omni-channel customer, a customer who is both in social media, you see the brand on Instagram, you then later on go to the store and then buy it online. The whole idea of making an omni-channel kind of customer and really make sure that in every platform, the brands put a lot of thought and effort into creating a value for the customers is something that will be big. So they will need to rethink of how to create stores that are both safe, but also giving a sense of community and a place of gathering. We talked a lot, the fashion industry talked a lot about experiences in stores. So what would the new experiences would look like in the stores that will appeal to people to come out of their house and meet strangers. In that meaning, we will see more of technology online. So obviously the big brands were already there with their e-commerce, but many designers, small designers, had no platform, selling platform online, and they now needed to do everything super fast. But also all of the big brands that knew what they need to do, now, as I said before, they need to step up their game. And that means that all of the technologies that they checked and did some research and thought maybe we will implement it in our platform and maybe not, now they have to do it, and they have to do it super fast. So for example, to Israeli startup companies who are more wanted in these days are Zikit and Infamy. So Zikit is a virtual fitting company. You take a picture of yourself one time, and then you can see how you look with every item in the store. So the whole idea of fitting is something crucial for making a sale. Same thing goes with Infamy, it's just with underwear. And with that, obviously, most women would not feel comfortable taking a picture of themselves naked or half naked. So instead of that, you're just writing your measurements, your height, your hip, your bra size, and then it gives you this image, a virtual image that will show you how the bra will look on you and the underwear will look on you, and you can decide, do I want to buy it or not? In terms of companies and what will happen, so I think Slav said less brands. So what we will see is more acquisitions. So the companies who have money, who have the resources, Business of Fashion with McKinsey call it the Darwinian shakeout. So the strongs will get stronger, and the weak probably will either go to bankruptcy or will merge with other companies, big companies. So the two major fashion brand companies is LVMH and Kering. They're huge conglomerates, luxury conglomerates, and they're probably gonna go ahead and see if they can make an acquisition of companies, and also of companies that so far they didn't think that they are for sale. So for example, the family-owned companies like Prada might be for sale, might not, but that can be a great time for different companies to do that. If not now, then I don't know when these brands will agree to acquisition. I want to end the part of the future with some fun inspiration of how things would look like in the future. Some of them are really absurd, but I mean, who knows? It was absurd to even think that we will sit at home for a month. So really, who knows? So this is an idea of how space will look like for having a picnic in Central Park, for example. And with social distancing, so you will just bring that with you, you will place it on the ground, and then you will know where each one of your friends can sit. This is a very cool hand sanitizer that changed the color as long as you keep on washing your hands. So the whole idea of you have to wash your hands for 30 seconds or for 20 seconds, depends how crazy you are with everything, but really it's making it more as a gamification. It's kind of a game that you see that the colors transform, so from pink to purple and then to blue, and then you know, okay, you're done. So that's also a cool initiative. Maor Tabar is an Israeli designer. He's like the Mad Hatter. He knows how to make the most crazy hats. So he was also at home and feeling kind of depressed of not doing anything. So he went back to his studio and decided to make a coronavirus collection of his own. And I think it's brilliant. I don't know if I'll wear one of them, but it is brilliant. And then another artist who started making the idea of face masks from the everyday things you can find at home, because there was a lack of face masks for a certain time. So maybe you can take your shoe and put it, or a bra. Obviously it's more for the fun of it, but it's interesting to rethink of what face masks should be. And then this crazy device that a Chinese architect did. It's kind of a shield that what they're doing is using UV lights to sterilize itself. So it's hot. It's kind of like, think of the window shield in the car, that it's getting super hot, and then it kind of kills all the bacteria or all the virus or whatever that is. So we created something. I don't think anyone would wear it right now, but again, who knows? I want to open up for questions, and I want to thank you for being here with me. We'll have 10 more minutes of questions. I will say that that our next webinar is going to be next week, and I will send you the link and everything if you want to attend. And this is going to be actually kind of, this was the basic parts of the future of fashion, and now we will talk with Keren Ben-Chorin, who is a fashion historian and a fashion curator and a professor at FIT and in Parsons, and she will give us more of the perspective of what happened in the past and what we can learn from the past. But I'm talking really about the past of the evolution of fashion with different other things. And then we will talk with Yael Kochman, who is the founder of RETEC, the Retail Technology Hub and Ecosystem, We will talk with her about innovation and technologies that are most wanted now. And we will have a special guest. I can't tell you right now who, but you would love it. An Israeli designer who will talk more about the present time and the challenges in the fashion industry nowadays. So let's open up for questions. Thank you for everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here. It's been great to see your familiar faces. I love you. It's the first time that we did something like that for our community of people that following us in different channels. And I hope, please give me every feedback that you can here or after. Send me a WhatsApp, send me a message, an email, whatever you want. I would love to get any feedback, because really this is our first community event. Dana was talking about community, and I truly think that that's the most important thing nowadays. Yala, let's do it, Admin. Thank you. If you have questions, feel free. And if you have questions for the next webinar, also let us know so we can submit the questions to our panelists and be sure to answer them next week. Yay, thank you.
So can I ask a question?
Of course. Is it Vered who's asking a question?
No, Tammy.
Tammy, where are you?
Over here.
Hi, Tammy.
Hi.
Okay.
So when you say that they're going to be more iconic looks, it seemed to me like more classic, so that trends will disappear. Is that what you're indicating? There won't be any more, let's say, skirt length or dress length or stylized, like look, but just one overall classic look that can go on for a decade?
Kind of. I don't think the trends will disappear forever. For sure not. But the percentage, basically in every brand, they're doing more basic type of clothes that they know that they will be iconic, and there they will have the fashion trendiest clothes that they will offer and the items that they will offer. And I think we will see a shift. We will see more of the iconic things that it's not necessarily based on a season. It's definitely not going to be 52 mini collections. The same way that we saw it, because they cannot be dependent. What happened now is that they're stuck with orders that they have, and they don't know what to do with it because it's irrelevant for the next season. So they're not really sure what to do with that. That's the reason they canceled so many of their orders as well. And they will need to find a way to make sure that they can reuse and repurpose the clothes that they're designing.
So that means basically that people will be spending a lot less on fashion. They'll buy their iconic looks and sell.
It's not necessarily that they will spend less. They can spend the same amount, just on maybe less items.
Okay. But not as often. Okay.
Right.
Can I ask something like regard to what Tammy just said?
Now it's good.
Thank you. Hi, thank you first of all. So regard to what Tammy just said, I also thought about it, like how do you see like the economic part of designers and company if people are gonna buy less? So how do you see, or like, is there any conversation about like how the economically part of it gonna look like?
I want to add something. Can I add something to that?
Yes.
Debbie,
Debbie,
that I see first of all, your talk was fascinating and made me think about things I hadn't really started thinking about. But just to continue what Vered said, I mean, I see two trends. First of all, so many people are out of work.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people are going to be buying less of, definitely of clothes, if, that's the last thing you need, if you already have. And also the prices of everything are going to go. The price, if you're saying that they're not going to be using the cheap labor in Bangladesh, so the local, so all the prices are going to go up. They're going to have to go up. It's going to reflect in the prices. So, those are just kind of two things that are going to really impact on on the fashion industry, right?
Right. I'll tell you what, it is much more tricky than the basic level of it. I'll give you an example. Let's say that now we're stop doing production in Southeast Asia, right? We're stopping with that, and we're trying to do everything locally, which is now when you're thinking about, oh, that would be amazing, that would be a good thing. But take, for example, Bangladesh, 80% of their export is based on textile. That means all of their workers, they will be gone, vanished, right? So we cannot do things that are completely reckless, also to the other way around. So that means that we will need to figure a way of balancing between the way we used to produce and the environment and the people who are working in the textile industry today. So it's a very tricky way of figuring what is the fine line to do that. And while everything is happening, also all of the brands will need to be completely transparent. This is a huge call from customers all around the world to be transparent in the entire value chain. So yes, we will see more local designers if they will survive, if they will have the support from the governments in whatever country they are, if they will collaborate and do things together. These are a lot of ifs, right? A lot of things depends on what would be the actions of each country, of each individual, of the strategic decisions and so on. But in general, we can say that we will see more brands and designers that are local versus what we saw before, and fast fashion will slow down a little bit.
So I thought something else which relates to Vered.
Yes.
And Debbie. Hey, Debbie, good seeing you again. And there was, you mentioned something about DIY. There was a DIY trend, and with major designers showing you how to make their stuff, which obviously would be easy to make. And since there's an economic pinch and is affecting the pocket, you know, like, so, and you're saying things will be more iconic, more classic. So people will then start, you know, like designers might even start selling their patterns or let's say that's old style, but they will be doing YouTube, you know, like explanations or videos showing you how to make your own stuff at home.
Yeah, and this is already happening. They're selling their leftover fabrics. They are doing tutorials of how to make certain things, or how to do embroidery for your clothes, and on all of this type of things. One thing that I wanted to mention also is that we talked about the if. So really, the whole idea is that we don't necessarily know the way that consumers will shift. So Debbie talked about there won't be a lot of money for people to purchase, but some other trend forecasters actually predict that there will be a massive consumption, because people kind of like, they were in prison for a while. So obviously there will be people just, okay, I'm outside, I want to feel normal again, right? I want to feel like a human being. And what is to be a human being? Purchasing more and more stuff. And we already know that by buying stuff, we feel happier. So that can be also the first thing that will happen.
Sure.
But maybe after that, things will slow down, because at the end, if you don't have an income, then you will with yourself, you will need to think really on each one of the products that you buy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I want to see.
Hi, Liri.
Hi, Manu.
So nice to see you and hear what you
Yes,
said.
very nice.
Wow, it's blown my mind, because you know I'm also like a young designer now, and with all this terrific craziness, Corona, it's like it gives me lots of questions, and I'm asking myself in what path I should go. And I think that the people will be divided, like for the people that they don't care about this and they just want to keep on purchasing and go back to, you know, to the normal days, and the people that want to go back to nature buy less and be more present. And I think it's like, yeah, it will always be like divided.
It might be still divided, but I think there would be a lot of shift. So people who didn't care in the past will start to care, either because they truly care about environment and the outcomes of the industry, or because they care of their pocket and they don't have enough money. So either way, some people will need to change their habits, their shopping habits.
Yeah, it's part of our life.
Yeah. Okay, I want to thank all of you for being here and for interacting with us, asking questions, and please, I hope to see you next week as well. And stay safe, stay healthy,
Bravo.
stay loved.
Thank you so much.
Thank
you.
Thank you so much.
And you're sending the link, right? For the
I will, yes.
Great.
Thank you, Debbie.
Okay.
Okay.
All הכבוד.
תודה רבה.
Bye, Izzy. Bye, Lina.
Bye. Bye, Tammy.
ביי, תודה רבה, ממש.
תודה. Haley, I didn't see you until now. Hello, Haley.
It was great. Thank
Hi,
you.
thank you. I miss you so much.
Miss you too.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, and be safe.